Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. I do hope you're well. Today I'm going to continue on roughly from where I left off in the last video where I was talking about being in a band. Today's anecdote concerns an opera singing J.R. Ewing lookalike, a mystery pint of beer, and why I'm going to burn in hell for all eternity, apparently. Here we go. Our story starts with a guy from Atlanta, Georgia. Let's call him Hank. Hank had moved to the northeast of England when he married a local girl. As well as being a bass player, he was also a trained opera singer and bore a striking resemblance to this fella. Now, in the mid-1990s, I found myself in a band with Hank, a country and western band no less. As I said, Hank was a trained opera singer, but the problem was he sang every song like an opera singer, including tracks like Jambalaya and South of the Border Down Mexico Way, which was interesting. Hank's wife also sang in the band. We'll come back to her shortly. And our drummer was good old faithful Roland, who had the advantage of being a drum machine, meaning that you only had to punch the information in once, unlike a human drummer. Together we roamed the northeast pub and club circuit playing all of the country tunes that the good folks wanted to hear. And it's at one of these gigs that I encountered a mystery pint of beer that we'll talk about later. Anyway, going back to Hank's wife, let's call her a miserable, sour-faced, wizened old harpy, largely because she was. Take off! And if you find that a bit harsh, then you obviously never met the woman. She was a rampant snob, the kind of person who wouldn't drink tea out of a mug because that was common, apparently. And one time I actually witnessed her say to her husband, "If you must bring fish and chips home to the house, can you at least put them in a hold-all so the neighbours can't see them?" She was also fervently religious to the point where any kind of fun or enjoyment was bound to be sinful or wicked in some kind of way or other. She also disapproved of alcohol, which made me a very bad influence, I'm pleased to say. Honestly, it was like being in a band with a cross between the mother from the Carrie film and Hyacinth Bucket.
No, it's not bucket, it's bouquet.
Anyway, back to the night in question. We were booked to play at a social club in one of the many mining villages up in County Durham. And when we arrived, I thought there'd been some sort of mix-up with the agent because, looking into the foyer, there were 2 or 3 people dressed in the kind of costumes we'd be wearing on stage later. It looked for all the world like there was already another band there. But upon closer inspection, it turns out that this was the audience. Apparently, in this part of the world, this is how you get dressed up to go and enjoy an evening of live country music. Which is fair enough, I suppose. We did, however, have a language issue that night, mainly because Hank, being from Atlanta, Georgia, and having the accent that goes along with that heritage, was trying unsuccessfully to communicate with the broad Geordie concert secretary. Here's one of my personal heroes having similar issues.
What I'm saying is that, like, if they had themselves proper jobs, you know, for a gun till, then they wouldn't date. You know, a lot of them's from broken homes.
Sorry, that was just a noise.
Anyway, we play the first set and all goes remarkably well. For all of her faults, Hank's missus has a really good voice and she handles all of the old Patsy Cline, Reba McEntire, Tammy Wynette sort of stuff that's in the set very well indeed, it has to be said. Hank, of course, sings everything like Enrico Caruso, but, you know, we get away with it. After the first set, it's time for the important business of the evening, as far as the audience are concerned, which is bingo. It's not just bingo, though, as anybody who's ever played on this northeast club circuit will tell you. They have a game of bingo, they have a meat raffle, they have a tote draw, they have the key to the box draw, all of this sort of stuff goes on. And I'm not really interested in any of this, so I head off through to the lounge bar in search of a swift libation or two. And after a while I start hearing these loud bangs coming from the concert room, and it turns out that in this club, when you get a full house on bingo, you don't shout house, this happens. All of the blokes who've turned up dressed as, Randolph Scott or Clint Eastwood or John Wayne or whatever, as part of their costumes, they've all got these poxy replica Colt revolvers that they keep loosing off every time they feel the need. Like, yee-haw, I've won the meat raffle or something similar. And it's at this point that it strikes me the weird shit you put yourself through to earn a bloody crust. I mean, there I am. I'm in a band with the Pavarotti Kid, an opera-singing cowboy, his missus, the Mother Bloody Superior. I'm having to act as a babelfish, translating Geordie into Southern drawl and vice versa. Most of the audience have spent more on their costumes than I have, and I'm getting paid to look a twat. What's their excuse? And now this, gunfight at the OK Bloody Corral in the concert room. I need a drink.
Hi-yo Silver! Away!
So there I am, stood in the queue for the bar, and I hear from a few places in front of me somebody order a round of drinks, and it sounds like this.
2 pints of bitter, a Bacardi and Coke for one lass, and a pint of Yippee, please, Sharon.
Did that bloke just order a pint of something called Yippee? What? And then it happens again.
Gives a double maxim, will you? Half a lager and lime, and a couple of pints of Yippee.
And again. Vodka martini, please. Shaken, not stirred.
Sorry, Petal, but we're out at Olives.
In that case, Sharon, darling, make it a Yippee. Alright, I might have made that last one up. But anyway, there's about 7 or 8 people in front of me in the queue, and at least half of them ask for a pint of Yippee. So, naturally curious, when it gets to my turn, I think, in for a penny, in for a pinch of shite, and I say, pint of Yippee, please. And this is what I get. Yep, it's Vaux Brewery's IPA, India Pale Ale, which, when you say it in the local dialect, as like a pint of your IPA, please, it eventually comes out as pint of Yippee, please. So there you go, mystery solved. It's not a bad pint neither, so I decide, as you do, I'll get another 4 and carry them through into the dressing room on a tray so that I've got a drink lined up ready for when we come off stage. You see? Up there for thinking, down there for dancing. And by the time I've had me pint and been outside for a smoke, it's time to go back on for the second half. So we play the second half of the show and all goes remarkably well. The audience, looking like the massed ranks of extras from The Magnificent Seven and Ride the High Country, line dance and drink themselves into a pleasant stupor. And after the final encore of Stand By Your Man, where they're all singing along, it's time to close the show and get the hell out of there. We get paid, and then it's time to strip the gear down. Now, Hank is remarkably protective, might even say precious, about his PA equipment, so he insists that he's the one that handles that task. Which suits me fine, because if you remember, I've got some unfinished business from earlier. And once all the equipment's stored away, we head off out to the luxury tour bus to head back to civilization. Or at least somewhere where there's a kebab shop that's still open anyway. No sooner have we set off than Hank's missus starts to go through her list of things that I've done that she disapproves of this evening. Luckily, I anticipated that this might happen and remembered to pack my post-gig survival kit. Essential equipment. Now, as you can imagine, what with the Guinness and the Yippee, I'm feeling pretty well dieselled up by this point, meaning that my appreciation of the music I'm listening to, which is leaking out through the sides of my headphones obviously, becomes a little animated. Anyway, it's a long drive home, so we stop off along the way for the traditional post-gig cholesterol supper. A delicacy unique to the northeast of England called the parmo. Anyway, it's while Hank and myself are enjoying this culinary delight, they don't have this in Atlanta, Georgia apparently, that Hank's missus kind of pulls me up to one side and has a little chat with me.
John, I know you and I may have our differences, but I really do worry about you, you know. I mean, that music you're listening to, hell, dying, it doesn't lead anywhere good, you know. I'm being serious. I shall pray for you when we get home. I wouldn't want you to end up going down there.
Luckily, being well schooled in the art of witty repartee, I answered in the style of one of my other personal heroes.
Oh, bollocks!
And there you have it. The tale of an opera-singing J.R. Ewing lookalike, a mystery pint of beer, and why I'm going to burn in a lake of fire for all eternity. See you next time, folks. Take care. Bye for now.